We have a lot of entrepreneurs in the room. Stand up if you have ever put business expenses on your credit card. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Let me see you. Stay standing. Stand up. Stay standing, stay standing. Stand up if you have ever taken a personal loan for your business. No, stay standing, don't sit down. The ones who stood for the credit card, stay standing, stay standing. Stand up if you ever borrow money from family and friends for your business. I think the people who are still sitting are not entrepreneurs. Stand up, stand up. You guys want to sit so badly. Stand up if you've ever fallen behind on your taxes. People don't want to admit that, so I understand if you don't stand up. Yeah, that's a big one. Stand up if you've ever paid yourself last. I see people relating. All right, now look around the room. Look around the room. Look at the people who are standing up. It's about half of the room. And these are the same people. You can sit down now. These are the same people who raise their hands as entrepreneurs. And so what I want you to get from that exercise is that basically, if you're an entrepreneur, you have at some point intertwined personal finance with the business. It is not unique to you. If you have made mistakes along the way, you are not alone, because all the entrepreneurs in the room have at some point done the exact same thing, including me. I did this video on TikTok a couple days ago. I did it in the format of put a finger down. I never have no finger left. All my fingers were down. Every single thing catch me. And so I want to tell you a story today, because like I said, I run a media company, and I'm glad, like I said, that the media entrepreneurs are here in the room with me. But there are some strategies that we can use to try to make this a little less obvious. When we first started the business a few years ago, things were good. So I had the good fortune of starting a business that was immediately successful. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but that was a blessing for me. We came out the gate hot. We were making money. And the thing about when you start out making good money, you end up spending a lot of the money as well. And those of you who have investors with deep pockets may be able to relate also. When you start out with a lot of money, you spend a lot of money on foolishness. And so it can be a blessing and also a curse when this is your situation. Yeah. This was us in happy times. This was the crew. We're making money, and we're living good. Life is good. But then a couple years later, what happened? COVID hit. Now, next slide, yeah. COVID-19 hit. Now, as I told you, my business is in personal finance. We create content around personal finance. So all of my major clients are companies that want to promote financial products. And when COVID-19 hits, this is what happens to the stock market in Jamaica. Within a couple of weeks, the Jamaica Stock Exchange falls by about 30%. And now all of a sudden, everybody who was looking to me for advice, now I hear nothing from me no more. They're like, no, you just tell me put money Trans-Jamaica Highway, and now the IPO flop because the market is down 30%, and now I've lost my money. And so the people who are looking to me for content, the people who are looking to me for quote-unquote advice, because I'm not a licensed financial advisor, please consult your licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions, and also my major clients who are sponsoring some of the content and are advertising with me, nothing like that is, going on right now because of this situation. And then on top of that, what happens in early 2023? You guys heard of this? Big international story. Usain Bolt's financial advisor allegedly steals $13 million from his account. And now once again, investor confidence is dramatically eroded, and people don't want to invest. People rather put their money under their mattress than do what I'm saying that they should do. So nobody wants to watch my content anymore. Our advertisers aren't spending money with me anymore, not because I did anything wrong, but because of the financial situation. And so this is what ends up happening. And this is a chart from earlier this year. You see this red line? That represents the performance of financial companies in Jamaica this year, down 8%. And so all these people here who are or were my clients, they stopped spending money on influencer marketing and social media. And if either they have either dramatically slashed their marketing budget, which means they're slashing what they're spending with me, or they eliminate it completely. And of these group of companies here who were working with me when times were good and the money was rolling in, the only one that didn't cut their marketing budget, at least for me, was JMMB. And so now we have to figure out, how do we weather the storm in difficult times? Because as entrepreneurs, our personal finance is deeply intertwined with the success of our businesses. True or false? Yes or no? Deeply, deeply. What slide are we on? Oh, that's a soul. That's representing a soul. Because when you go through difficult times in your business, you realize how absolutely soul-crushing entrepreneurship can be. Devastating. And so I went through a period where I felt completely worthless. And you wouldn't believe it, because I still showed up every single day, made my content, smiled and said, invest, 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 repeated the message, but deep down inside, I was crushed. I didn't even feel attractive anymore. I went home, I told my husband, I'm not feeling it. Because entrepreneurship can be 100% soul-crushing, especially when you're not sure how you're going to provide for your family. I've been a single parent as well. You need to try to find ways to stabilize that income when things are like this, when the roller coaster comes. And so that is what we're going to talk about here today. Where are we at? Oh, I already made that point. Inextricably linked to your business. So let's look at this post that I saw on LinkedIn just this week. When a founder tells you that they did a 7-figure exit and they don't want to tell you the actual number, here's what they really mean. We sold the company for $1 million, but we had to pay our broker $100,000. We also paid our lawyers $50,000. Then we divided $850,000 by 3 because we have 3 founders. That's $283,000 each. With 20% tax, that's another $56,000 less. So $227,000. But since we didn't pay ourselves for the first 2 years, and we took a $200,000 loan, we actually made $27,000 in the end. That's the truth about entrepreneurship and the 7-figure exit. I see some nods, and I hear some sighs in the audience. Are we hitting home? Too close, too close. So here's what happens, and this is the reason our personal finance is so closely tied to the success of our business. Number one, we may have a business that we're earning a salary from. And so if the business can't pay your salary, then what are you gonna do? That's number one. Number two, your personal resources are going into the business. Business and personal, inextricably linked. And number three, even if you aren't taking a salary, you are investing the most important resource that you have beyond money, which is your time. Because you could be using that time to do something else that could earn you additional income somewhere else, but you're spending that time to build up this business. So what are we going to do about it? I talk all the time about the keys to wealth creation when I'm doing this talk on personal finance to regular people, because y'all are not regular, you're entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are regular plus people, you're special people. So when we talk about personal finance, what are the keys to wealth creation? I say stock market investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. And so most of you here in this room are already well advanced on path number 3, which is entrepreneurship. But as you know, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. Like I said, it can be soul-crushing. But what do these 3 things have in common? Can anybody guess? What do they have in common? Rest, risk, okay. Ownership, thank you very much. You've seen this talk before, haven't you? Ownership. So the objective and the way to get wealthy is ownership of assets that are going to rise in value over time. So when I was small, I thought, and up until about 10 years ago, I thought that the way to get rich is to work hard and save. And eventually you'll get, the money will accumulate, you'll get rich. What I didn't know is that the true formula is not work hard plus save equals wealth. It is work hard plus save times ownership equals wealth. So you work hard and you save, but then you invest the money that you earn by working hard and saving. And like I said, you guys are well advanced on plank number 3, which is entrepreneurship. So I give you a hint already, think about who the wealthiest people in the world are. Can you name the top 4? Who can name the top 4? So we have Elon Musk at number 1. He's worth over $300 billion. Number 2 is Jeff Bezos, worth over $200 billion. Number 3, I can't remember this guy's name, but he's the co-founder of Oracle. Yes, Ellis, Oracle co-founder, also over $200 billion. And we all know the Zuck, also worth over $200 billion. So all of the wealthiest people in the entire world are entrepreneurs. And I would say all 4 of these are tech entrepreneurs as well. I would even count Elon among it because he's very, with the tech in a different kind of way. So not only are you guys in the room entrepreneurs, many of you are tech entrepreneurs. So you are in the most lucrative field in the world, yet many of us in this room still struggle with our personal finance. So what are you going to do about it, Here are 10 strategies that will help you to get through. Starting with number 1, which is going to be a little bit controversial. Number 1, you are going to pay yourself first, not last. Why the giggles? I see some guilty faces in the room. You are going to pay yourself first. And there is this thing in entrepreneurship that we take it for granted. It's common knowledge that entrepreneur gets paid last, right? You pay all of your employees first, and then if something left, you take something. And even beyond that, maybe you don't even take a salary right now. You wait until the business grows, and then 5 years later, you take something. And hopefully your equity at that point is worth something. Maybe you sell the company, and that's when you get paid. I want to dispute that very strongly. Anybody have kids? You have families? You have dependents, people that you have to take care of, you're responsible for? Elderly parents? Pets? Bills? Everybody has bills, right? We all have responsibilities. And so I believe it is grossly unfair to ourselves to pay ourselves last. Why? We are the most valuable resource and the most valuable asset of our business. The business would not exist without us. True or false? The business would not exist without you. So why should everybody else get paid and not you? And so you need to factor in the cost of your labor at the beginning. Now, granted, it might not be the full value of what your labor is worth, but you need to give yourself something and factor that cost into the cost of the business at the very beginning. And I'll tell you, when I was just starting my company, our first product was a show called Taking Stock. We had sponsors, we had advertisers for. My brainchild, I had the idea, came up with the concept, wrote the show, got the advertisers, did the sales, did the marketing, got people to work on the show, and when time to be paid, the videographer got paid, The editor got paid. Social media manager got paid. Who else got paid? The makeup artist got paid. The videographer's assistant got paid. The studio got paid. What me get? Nothing. After doing months of work, none of this would have existed without me, without my brainchild, without my effort. And so what I want you to realize is that not some consultant, not some fancy salesperson, you are the most important asset to your business. And so you need to keep you happy. And you need to keep you financially and mentally and emotionally stable. Because we already know that when the finances are not stable, that affects the mental health. That even affects the physical health. And so you as an entrepreneur need to pay yourself first. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It doesn't have to be the full value of what you would charge if you were working for somebody else. But make sure that you take care of you financially. Pay yourself a salary, even if it's a small salary, but it should be something consistent. This thing about director's drawings, done with that. We're not taking director's drawings. We're taking a salary. We're not taking out money here and there and everywhere. When the business have money, then we take out the money. We're taking out a consistent, stable amount every single month to support ourselves and our families financially. Number 2, you're gonna separate your personal and your business finances. Now this one is basic. I feel like everybody knows that. Everybody says that, like that's duh. Of course I'm gonna separate my personal and business finances. But when I asked early on, how many of you ever use a personal credit card to pay expenses for the business, almost all the entrepreneurs stood up. When I asked if you ever took a loan personally to invest in your business, most of you, again, you stood up. So even though it seems like a duh, we need to be serious about separating personal and business finances. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, you can maintain separate bank accounts. I remember when I used to be going through my credit card statements and wondering, what did I buy at Rapid True Valley again? Was it for me? Was it for the house or was it for the business? I can't really remember, because it becomes hard to differentiate at some point. And so what you need to do is have different accounts. And even if you're just beginning, what you can do is open a personal account that you use exclusively for the business, if you don't have a registered business just yet. So number 3, oh wait, no, don't go there yet. Yes, giving away the, all right. Number 3 is to establish an LLC. Now here in Jamaica, you're either sole proprietorship or you're LLC. In other countries, you have more advanced structures. You have S Corp, you have C Corp, and all of that. I'm just going to stick with what we know here in Jamaica. You need to differentiate between yourself and the company legally. And not just on paper. Yes, it's important to have that legal distinction, but even more importantly is the mental distinction. You are not the business, and the business is not you. The business is a separate entity that should be paying you. So number 3 is to establish an LLC. I don't like the blurring of the lines. I hate these blurred lines. Number 4 is to document everything. We're writing everything down. Anything that you spend on the business, you're writing it down. You're getting your receipt, you're taking a picture of the receipt, you're uploading it to Google Drive. You're making sure. Hey. We're making sure that everything is properly documented. And in tandem with that, we are also reimbursing ourselves. These two aren't syncing. We're also reimbursing ourselves. Anybody ever sent an invoice to yourself? No? I'm the only one who does that? I send invoices to myself all the time. So if I spend something from my personal account for the business, I am going to make out an invoice for reimbursement and send it to myself. And even if the business can't afford to pay it back immediately, it needs to be on the books that this expense was done on behalf of the business and that I'm claiming it back. And so maybe they can pay me back now, maybe they pay me back later, but it exists on the books. So reimburse yourself. The other thing that does is that it makes it clear to your accountant that this is a reimbursement. This is not director's drawings. And there's a big difference between the two because director's drawings are taxable. Meanwhile, reimbursements are tax deductible. Huge difference. Document everything, reimburse yourself. These are strategies to help you stabilize your income as an entrepreneur. And speaking of accountants, please hire one. Who has an accountant? Much fewer hands than I thought. Given the number of people who raise their hands as entrepreneurs, not as many, this set left, not still, even without them, not as many people as I expected raise their hands as having an accountant.
Hello, I'm Raymond Chan, chartered accountant at your service. Here to save you lots of tax dollars, you deserve it. If you're a big baller, I could tell you what you're hoarding. I could be your superhero, meeting standards of reporting. Let's go.
Money all day, boy. All my peeps talk money all day, that's true. We're accountants, we can help you save coins and get the tax people off your back.
I wish my accountants were that cool. But you hear what they say, money all day, money all day. Oh, yes, get the tax people off your back. You should have heard the first verse. Oh, my goodness, he was like, PWC in the house. Hire an accountant. And the thing about hiring an accountant, it is not just about registering how much you spend and how much you earned. It is not just about recording profit and loss. Accountants can also advise you on tax benefits. They can advise you on the direction that you're taking with the business. They can make forecasts for you. And here's the thing, you don't know what you don't know. So if you didn't know there was a tax benefit, how are you going to take advantage of it? And there are so many tax benefits right now that a lot of entrepreneurs are not taking advantage of because they don't know they exist. And they don't know they exist because they've never worked with an accountant before. So hire an accountant. Number 7 is to create a financial plan. And you want to do this both for yourself and for the business. So the business needs to have its own budget, and then you have your personal budget. The business is going to have its goals. You're going to have your financial goals. So create a financial plan. And remember, you are not the business, so keep things separate. Have one for the business, one for yourself. Number 8 is emergency savings. And this applies to both you and the business again. So the business should have its emergency savings, and you should have your emergency savings. Ideally, you should have your emergency savings before you start the business, just in case you need it. But that is not always the way it works out. But I want to stress something about emergency savings as well. Because when I told you, we went through these challenging times with the business, and how it started out was we had this money coming in, and when you have a lot of money coming in, what did I say happens? You tend to spend the money. I was reinvesting in the company, as we call it. I was buying equipment, and I was getting a website done, and I was hiring a consultant, and happy to see the growth. But knowing what I know now, I would have invested more in stability over growth. We love to see the sexy numbers. We love to see, ooh, the business grew 20% and this and that, and we love to see those numbers, but that means absolutely nothing if the business can't sustain itself for a few months while the business is going through a difficult period. And so you want your business to have emergency savings, same as you would have for yourself, so that when the business goes through a difficult period, you can still afford to meet payroll. You can still pay your employees. And of course, your number one employee, you can still pay yourself. Now, number 9 is to maintain other income streams. Now, this one is also controversial because there's a big debate about, as a matter of fact, let me just play this clip for you. This is a clip from Dragon's Den, Canada. Anybody watch that show? You guys watch Shark Tank? This is Canada's Shark Tank.
So I'm going to be out for that reason.
Wes, I gotta say, I disagree here.
I don't want to call it a side hustle.
Why not?
Because this is my baby. I'm passionate about this. I can't tell you about how many nights I've slept in the warehouse in one of these things.
It's a side hustle because you have a 9 to 5.
Maybe, no, my 9 to 5 is my side hustle. This is my passion.
But Barrett, weren't you going for your passion?
So living in Toronto is very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a startup business, you can't really take that chance. So instead of me doing that,
Barrett, I did.
I did.
Unfortunately, I couldn't. Not everybody is in a
Okay.
position to do that. On top of that, I have 2 very young children.
I had 3. Barrett,
Yes.
you got a day job. I can't invest behind someone who this is secondary to them. It's got to be number one. So I'm going to be out for that reason.
Wes, I gotta say, I disagree here. I disagree. I understand, I think investors want their founders to, obviously, to prioritize their business, but the economic reality of a lot of people starting businesses at later stages in life is that they have responsibilities that they have to adhere to, and I don't think that should be the only thing that deters you as an investor. That's all.
So who's right? All right, everybody who says Simu, says Simu. Everybody who says the other guy, what's his name? Wes. Everybody who says Wes, say Wes. I think it's about equal. And I think they both have points. There is something to be said for both sides of that debate. It's a very important debate. But here's the thing. You have to do what is in your best interest. And whatever that is for you, whatever your family situation is, your personal situation, that entrepreneur is living in an extremely expensive city to live in with dependents. And he doesn't come from a wealthy family. He's looking for an investor, so he probably doesn't have one, no. Do what is right for you. Do not be pressured by the TV shows and the fanciness and all the people saying this is how you must do it. Do what is right for you. However, when I say maintain other sources of income, I don't necessarily mean you have to keep your day job. I mean you should be having other sources of income that perhaps you don't have to work for. So if you can have passive sources of income, then that serves you as well. That's when you put your money to work for you. You don't have to work for that money necessarily. So rental income, for example. I know vehicle is here. I don't know if Sherry is in the room. Work from home and rent out your car for the day through the vehicle platform. Have income coming in. Yeah, shout out vehicle and Sherry. And of course, invest in companies and businesses. Oh, okay, that's their brochure. Invest in stock market companies that are gonna pay you dividends and that you can earn money from passively when the price goes up. And number 10 is invest in your industry. So we started out early on in the presentation saying the keys to wealth for stock market investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Now, a lot of people get nervous when I tell them about investing in stocks because they're like, oh, I don't know, Kalilah, what should I invest in? Well, here's what you should do, especially when you're new. Invest in what you know. Invest in your industry. So you're a tech company, invest in other tech companies. I'm a media company, invest in other media companies. I have shares in RJR, for example. I mentioned vehicle earlier. Invest in Uber and Lyft. It's so obvious. And so that way you can earn passive income from these investments in companies that you know that industry extremely well. And because you know that industry extremely well, you will be able to spot trends in that industry that can give you an indication of what that business is likely to do next. And in addition, it benefits you because you get to learn more about the industry and what the people that you aspire to be like are doing in their businesses. So if Lyft is listed on the stock exchange, I think probably the New York Stock Exchange, what are the decisions that they're making? As a shareholder, you should know. You should be looking up what Uber and Lyft are doing. And now that can inform how you are going to grow your similar business to the point that it can someday IPO as well. So very simple, start by investing in your industry. Seek out companies that are similar to yours and buy stocks in them. Become shareholders in these companies.
Throughout your whole career at Amazon, you paid yourself about $80,000 a year in total, cash comp, and never took additional equity in the company the entire time.
No, I never did. And I asked the comp committee of the board not to give me any comp. My view was I was a founder. I already owned a significant amount of the company, and I just didn't feel good about taking more. I had plenty of incentive. I owned more than 10% of the company. I just felt, how could I possibly need more incentive? Most founders own.
You know who that is, Jeff Bezos. A couple of things struck me about that clip. One, he paid himself a salary. It was a small salary, and it's not what Jeff Bezos is actually worth to that company, but it was a salary. And it was a consistent salary. And then number two, which is the really big point that really hit home when I saw this clip, was getting the value of the equity to rise. But the reason I placed this clip here is because I want you to start thinking of the value of your equity as well, not just the equity in your own businesses right now, which may or may not be worth much if you don't have an investor, you don't have an exit plan, but the value of equity in other companies in your industry. Invest in your industry. So let's recap all of these 10 points. Number one, pay yourself first. Number two, separate your personal and business accounts. Number three, we are going to establish an LLC, even if you're the only employee in the business. Number four, you're going to document everything. Number five, you are going to reimburse yourself. Send those invoices to yourself if you have to. Number six, you're going to hire an accountant. Number seven, you're going to create a financial plan. Number eight, you're going to have emergency savings for both yourself and for the business. Number nine, you're going to pursue additional income streams, which may or may not require you working additionally. It could be passive income. And number 10, you are going to invest in your industry. And when you put the first letter of all these bullet points together, what do you get? Sedrichai? I know. I didn't have a cute acronym. I'm sorry. Sedrichai. Just remember Sedrichai, and you will never go wrong. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.